One time for your mind, I'm Architect AP and you're back on Versus Everything. Before I progress any further in my, shall we say, analysis of everything all the different elements that affect our lives, I think I'd like to introduce you to the concept of a spectrum. Now, what a spectrum is essentially any time you have an issue that has the potential of having differing opinions on it from, various parties, be it political, be it something to do with your race, your identity, whatever it is. There's a number of issues like that are called polarized. Anytime we have a polarizing issue, it involves a spectrum, because essentially the spectrum of that polarizing issue establishes one side and the other side. Now, both of these sides are extremes, right? To give you an easy example to follow, think of left-wing and right-wing politics, right? You have your conservative right-wingers and you have your liberal left-wingers. Now, anytime there's an issue, a lot of people, you will notice that a lot of general population, they pick a side, right? And more often than not, I mean, if in the past, we could kind of get away with just some people not giving a shit altogether, these days, they really want to jump on the side. They really want to see these issues as, black and white, good and bad, whatever it is. It's a definitive contrast between opinions as far as people are concerned, right? So in terms of that, we end up with the majority of people that are concerned with the issue on either side of that spectrum. Now, my issue with that is it's a spectrum for a reason, right? They call it a polarizing issue, but at the end of the day, what about everything in between, right? Because in between is where you solve these issues. In between is where you actually find a solution to the problem. Because at the end of the day, like a polarizing issue sets stage for a war. Not a battle, a war. Because there's a difference. A battle is won by force and aggression. It could be a specific instance, it could be a protest, it could be a certain skirmish or an argument that you see. But a war is always won by either negotiation or extermination, right? Now, let me explain to you what that means, right? So, with negotiation, it's us finding that middle on the spectrum. It's finding a solution that benefits all parties, and we can now put that issue to rest. Extermination is essentially what a lot of people are actually going for. It's either side of that polarizing issue trying to get enough support for their side to take on the other side and essentially exterminate them, to get rid of them, to make sure that they're no longer accepted in society and essentially become a non-existent concept. Now, I don't need to tell you from the historical examples of what that entails. We're not just talking about saying, oh, we don't accept that, therefore we're not doing that. That usually involves violence, murder, Holocaust, right? So you have to get rid of a specific class of people if that's the road you're going down. Now, and this is something I want to ask anybody that kind of takes a radical extreme on either side of that spectrum. Is that where you're willing to go? And if you are, I think this is, we should start questioning these people, because if you're willing to do that for this issue, what else are you willing to do it on? At which point do we say, okay, maybe we're dealing with psychopaths here? Maybe these extremists, because that's what these people are. It's interesting that the word is now carrying a different meaning to what it used to. Extremists used to be weirdos. Now, it seems to be the mainstream narrative, right? You have to pick a side. Being in the middle is no longer an option. People want you to get involved. I've had arguments like this over the past week about how I'm not allowed to be in the middle and have my own opinion. I'm not allowed to take different elements. I have to pick a side. I have to go with it. And together with these people, I'm supposed to attack the other side. I don't agree with that. I tend to analyze things according to their elements, draw lines based on these things, draw lines on these scenarios. It's not a single blanket thing, because at the end of the day, anytime you do that, somebody is going to lose, and nobody likes losing. Nobody wants to be the marginalized population, right? Everybody wants their own, and hence why we have these constant conflicts about different things. So when it comes to the spectrum, this is what I'd like you to understand. A spectrum, it's like half a circle. And imagine there's a pendulum on that spectrum that just swings from one side to another. You know, we swing from the conservative side to the liberal side, and we go back and forth in these massive swings, which cause instability in our society, when reality is, we're never going to reach the perfect middle. It's impossible. We're humans. There's always going to be a little bit of swinging. But reality is, the less the swing is, the less unstable things are. And at the end of the day, you know, when you think about what people want, you know, just some peace, harmony, and a way to live, here's your solution. But for some reason, we find it hard to understand that, you know, you have to make certain compromises. You have to sit down, communicate, and develop an understanding with the opposite side of that spectrum for us to succeed in anything. So before I dive into any further topics, I'd like you to take a moment and just think about what that spectrum means, how it applies to your everyday lives, how it applies to the things that you read online, how you scroll through your social media, your mainstream media, how you analyze issues. How many of them have that spectrum? Food for thought. I'm Architect AP, and this is Versus Everything, one time for your mind.